So I've been getting paid both as a photographer and a videographer for a while now. I started out doing freelance work, and then I started making money online with things like YouTube and Amazon. I've spent about the past 18 months actually working 9 to 5 full-time as a videographer. These days, it's super glorified to hustle, to work for yourself, to build your own business. And to be honest, I still think that's really cool. But I still believe at some point, working a 9 to 5, even as a creative, can be the best thing for you. To be a little bit vulnerable though, my job hunt wasn't easy. There were plenty of internships and jobs that I applied for and I either never heard back from, or even if I did really well, I just couldn't land them. At the time, it was really frustrating and I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. But in hindsight, it was pretty obvious. So today, I just wanted to share some tips that helped me land my first full-time job in video production, and hopefully it helps you out too. Alright, so my first tip for you all is gain some experience. It can literally be anything. In most creative industries, your degree really doesn't mean much unless you have some actual experience. Otherwise, you're really not worth a lot to a company. They're gonna spend a lot of time and money just training you in the basics. The classic excuse everyone sort of throws around is, I need experience to get hired, but I can't get experience because I've never been hired. And I totally feel for you, but it's really not a valid excuse. There's literally so much material online, whether you want to learn the basics of a camera, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, different frame rates, all that stuff. If you want to shoot 4K videos, odds are your smartphone can do that. So even if no one's gonna pay you, if making videos is something you're super passionate about, start out doing it for free. You could make a YouTube channel, you could shoot a family or friend's wedding, you could just go make a short film by yourself or with a couple friends. There's really so many things you can do to just show that at least you're interested in video and start learning the basics. Now that you've made a few random videos, it really doesn't matter what they are. Really try to focus in and figure out what kind of job you want to be hired for. Do you want to do social media videos? Do you want to do wedding videos, corporate interviews, product commercials? Whatever it is, start looking at jobs and find out what the minimum requirements are. I remember when I was looking at jobs, there were a lot of the same things coming up. 1 year editing experience preferred. 1 year Adobe After Effects experience preferred. Stuff like 1 year just shooting experience. They want to make sure you can actually operate a camera. If these are the minimum requirements, you want to meet these and hopefully even exceed them. After that, I'd highly suggest making a project or two specifically showcasing the skills you would need to do the job you're applying for. Even if it's not a perfect match, that's totally okay. Like say you want to shoot some corporate style interview videos. Well, it might be hard to get a business to just allow you to walk in and make them a video, but you could shoot something for a club you're in, like a little promo video, or maybe interview some people in a church group, or whatever it is you're involved with. There's probably a way to make a video that's at least similar to what you want to be doing. There's an old video on my channel called I Made a Product Commercial for $4.46, where I make a product commercial for like under $5. It was a very accurate representation of my skills at the time, so if they hired me, they knew exactly where I was at, or at least had a pretty dang good idea. Alright, my third tip is put effort into your portfolio or reel. This sounds so cringy now, but I remember when I was applying to my first jobs, I didn't have any sort of website or portfolio, so I'd send over Google Drive links with just random photos. I'd throw like a landscape in there, a portrait in there, a YouTube video, and maybe like one freelance job, and just hope for the best. But in hindsight, this was really disorganized and unprofessional. I didn't get a single job like that. If you can't afford a professional website, that's totally fine. There are free alternatives out there. Or if you have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, Adobe Portfolio is an awesome thing they provide with that subscription for everyone. Super cool. Remember, you're applying for a creative job. You don't have to code a website from scratch, but it should definitely look presentable. Alright, and tip number 4 is actually reach out to companies even if they're not hiring. If you're looking for work, it doesn't hurt to shoot them your resume and just sort of see what happens. When I was looking for work, I actually applied for a social media management position, and I didn't get the position. But a few weeks later, they liked what I'd sent over and hired me for some of the After Effects work I'd done, and eventually, pretty shortly after, that led to being a full-time videographer. Especially if you're like an animator or a motion graphics artist or a colorist, you might have a really niche specific skill that is exactly what the company needs. All right, and my last tip is straight up, be a good person and network. Now, personally, networking might be one of my least favorite words in the world. The idea of going up to strangers and pitching yourself and trying to sell your service to them just sounds absolutely uncomfortable and awful. But it's important, and there are a lot of ways to do it other than what I just said. So one example of this is when I was in college, I was in a film club, and people, whether it was students or just people in the community, frequently came to the club with jobs, whether it was shooting music videos, I think I did a dance video, I took portraits, and just by being in that club, I was getting work. Or there was another videographer job that I applied for, which I didn't get. This is just making me sound terrible as a person. But even though I didn't get the job I applied for, the interviewer liked me enough that they recommended me to a local freelancer, and literally like a couple weeks later, I was working on a project just helping them out for like 25 bucks an hour. So just make an honest effort to get to know people, get involved in communities, and just be the person that everyone wants to have on set. All right, and sort of my bonus tip is just be persistent. This goes for any industry really, but there could be a million reasons you don't get hired. Maybe there was just a ton of applicants and like the top 50% of them all could have done the job, or maybe someone was overqualified and applied for it anyways. There's just so many reasons. Don't let it get you down. As long as you keep trying, keep learning, and keep improving and making better videos, you're eventually gonna get hired. Focus on what you can control, which most of the time is just improving yourself. Anyways, that's it for me. So if working a 9-to-5 full-time job is something you want to do as a creative, I really hope these tips help you out. And as always, have fun, stay creative, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Heads, I get the job. Tails, probably not. Oh, well, that doesn't help. That's a probably not.